Okay, everyone, we are talking WordPress for small business today. And the topic is why WordPress. Now, you'll notice that I'm in my car. I was running late today. I was actually just meeting with a small business owner, author, and looking for a publisher, and she was kind of stuck with this Divi theme that she purchased that she thought would do things that it just doesn't do. So she needed someone to turn to, which was me, to ask for my advice and support and how she could advance her ideas in her theme. And so we went through an hour of education on her blog and to talk through her issues with her WordPress site. And, that's the interesting thing is, her daughter had said, well, why don't you just use Squarespace? And, what happens with that conversation is once you're involved with a platform and you're learning the platform, when someone advises you to shift to another platform, what makes you think that you're not going to have the same issues that you have on one platform with another platform? Because at the end of the day, these web development platforms can be quite complex based on your individual business requirements. So what I'm going to get to right now is, why use WordPress in the first place, right? Why do I recommend WordPress for small business? Why do small businesses use WordPress? Who is using WordPress? What is WordPress? And how can it help you, um, you know, run your small business website? So the key here is to really go back in history and understand, what WordPress is and where it came from and where it is today. And so we go back about 15 years ago when WordPress started as a blogging platform to compete with Blogger and a few other open source blog platforms, right? Movable type, these kinds of things. Blogging was the new thing in the mid 2000s. Everybody wanted a blog, and WordPress came along and it had forked an earlier open source blogging software and became WordPress unto itself. And so in a blog, you could post a title, you could publish all the content, you could add images, you could categorize your posts, you could tag them with tags, and you could publish them. And you would publish them in a reverse chronological order as a list of posts, and people could scroll that list, click on a title, get the full post, and read your blog, right? Great, you know. But over time, it became such that WordPress started advancing into a full-fledged content management system, right? It became extensible, okay? Meaning that you could have add-ons called plugins, or you could switch out themes for WordPress. And I explain themes like this, that WordPress really is the guts of a technical software solution. It's really the car engine, so to speak, right? What WordPress does is it takes data that you input, it stores it in a database, and then some code on the other side says if somebody wants that data, then the code pulls that data and displays it on a web page, right? So the code in WordPress is PHP. When you publish something in a text field in WordPress, you're publishing it into a piece of code, a text field that says, enter this information here. And when you hit submit, that information is then in the text field is then stored in a database somewhere in some tables and some rows, like an Excel sheet, right? And then on the website itself, right, on the front end, there's the back end where you publish, in the front end. On the front end, some HTML, CSS, and PHP says, I need this piece of data, a title, an image, some content, and I need to place it here on this page. So when someone comes to the site, they can see that content. So when you base WordPress on blogging, it was very simplistic, right? Now, WordPress advances to a full-fledged CMS. And what happens is, in WordPress, you have the blog posts engine. So when you access WordPress, you can publish posts, right? And those posts then go in a reverse chronological order in a list, okay? And those are your posts. But then you say, well, how can I do a website in WordPress? Well, when you log into WordPress, you have pages. So posts and pages are two different things, right? Posts are a reverse chronological record of your thoughts on a given subject with a title, post content, categories, tags. Pages are just simply page titles and page content, right? And so that was the original kind of structure of WordPress. And what happened was, a lot of these plugin developers and theme developers began advancing new ideas of laying out content in WordPress and providing tools for web publishers, small businesses, large businesses, anyone, to publish their content in these new types of layouts, and maybe database intensive stuff like all team members from a team, or all or maybe a directory plugin that said, here's a directory of services, maybe it's plumbing or hardware or whatever, that would plug in and you could do a directory. Or maybe it was an events calendar where it said, oh, here are all events, let's publish events into an events post type, and then those events will then be stored and then delivered onto pages or in widgets, right, to have events. So all of a sudden, WordPress became more than just a blogging platform. WordPress became this pretty incredible um, blogging platform and content management system. And I'm sorry, let me just turn off my phone. I have a client asking me a question, but I have this to do at the moment. And so we will say, client, we need to just wait a little bit while I do this, and then we'll get back to it. So as WordPress advanced into a full-fledged content management system, it started competing with other content management systems like Drupal and Joomla. But what happened was, WordPress became so popular for a number of different reasons. The first reason is because people themselves began gathering around the idea of open source and saying, we want to support this project because we feel that it works great for us. And so we're going to have these little things called meetups, right? Meetup.com didn't exist, or it just started to exist. And people started using it to create meetups around WordPress. And now there are meetups that happen all around the world on meetup.com based on the topic of WordPress, and that are organized by WordPress users around the globe. And that really inspired more and more people to dive into WordPress and be part of the WordPress community. And they were able to go to these WordPress meetups, and still are, and learn as much about WordPress from the community and participate themselves and contribute, whatever their ideas and input and value that they wanted to contribute was into the community. So when you get involved in WordPress as a small business, the issue is it's not just picking a CMS, it's picking a community of like-minded professionals who can help you advance your ideas, right? So let's think about that. In Squarespace and Wix, they may have, some meetups now here and there, but in the WordPress world, there are meetups in every city, every week, for all kinds of different topics. And then there are WordCamps that are small mini conferences that are organized by WordPress professionals in every major market and some small markets. There's a WordPress Boston, there's a WordCamp Boston, a WordCamp Atlanta, a WordCamp Asheville, a WordCamp Laos, Thailand, a WordCamp Singapore, a WordCamp London. There are WordCamps everywhere, once or twice a year. and they only cost $30 to $40 to go to. So it keeps the cost very low instead of these $1,000 conferences from Adobe or some, these big corporations, right? So this is what kept WordPress accessible to people like you and I, to small business owners, was that it grew a community around the platform to help people advance ideas and to help people create value, with this content management system. So when you're a small business owner choosing WordPress, you're not just choosing WordPress because it's there and somebody told you to. You're choosing WordPress because you have a community of support, a community of free or low cost support if you choose to engage that community. Now, beyond that, WordPress advanced on the professional realm. A lot of small micro companies started creating themes and plugins for WordPress, and there are some now that have been acquired in the millions of dollars because they have been able to generate revenue around these themes and plugins for WordPress, and they have been able to advance these new ideas, and they have been able to grow their small businesses around in the WordPress economy. So not only do you have the WordPress community to turn to online, through meetups, through WordCamps, right? You can go on Facebook to the advanced WordPress user group, or you can go on Facebook to the SEO WordPress user group, or you can go on meetup.com and go to any WordPress meetup in the world, or you can find out from WordCamp.us where the next WordCamp is, or you can watch WordCamp.tv and you can see presentations from WordCamp attendees and presenters, or you can go on SlideShare through LinkedIn and find hundreds of different slide decks from hundreds of different presentations in the WordPress universe, right? That have happened at WordCamps and meetups around the globe. So there's a huge body of information that exists. And sure, over time, that body of information gets old as WordPress advances. But fortunately, we have, I didn't mention YouTube. YouTube is a great source of information about WordPress, right? In terms of tutorials and these sorts of things. And then there's Skillshare, and there's other knowledge based, paid knowledge based trainings and these kinds of things. The WordPress ecosystem, my point is it's massive, right? And WordPress itself powers over 30% of all internet websites and 59% of all installed content management systems around the world, right? So when you choose WordPress, you're not just choosing, like I said, you're not just choosing WordPress because somebody told you to. You're choosing WordPress because it's one of the most supported open source content management systems in the world. But it's really up to you, the small business owner, the user, to get involved and be engaged in the community. You can't just pick a platform and think it's just going to work out of the box. Hey, maybe there are times it does. Maybe it's that easy from time to time. And it can be if you just need a simple marketing site, right? But then there's things like photography and videography that you need for your site, right? That go above and beyond your skill set. That aren't even just WordPress, that are just general skills like photography, and you need some great photography. So where are you going to get that, right? It's not a WordPress issue, it's a photography issue. It's not a WordPress issue, it's a video issue. It's not a WordPress issue, it's a podcast issue. How are you going to produce your podcast, right? So there are production issues that you find when you start developing your WordPress website to get the best site possible. So when people go online and they see a theme on Theme Forest or some theme development company like Elegant Themes, and they see these great demo themes of what is possible, they get discouraged once they get the theme because they don't really know how to apply the logic that the theme developers applied to make those themes look fantastic, right? And that's where the breakdown occurs, right? They get WordPress, they get a theme from some theme development company, they look at what the theme's capable of, and then they install it, and then they say, what now? So for example, there's a slider plugin called Slider Revolution, right? It creates sliders for your homepage, carousels and sliders. It is a very complex plugin to learn. It is not easy. It's like learning Photoshop. I don't expect a small business owner to get a theme, download Slider Revolution, install it, know how to create slides and buttons and links on those slides and photography or videography in those slides, and then place them into a hero area just below their navigation. That's something that a WordPress professional developer might know how to do. It's not something that a small business owner might know how to do. So there are paths that you can take. And there are things that are unknown that when you're picking a theme, well, what does a theme do? How does it function? How does it work? How do I know what I'm going to get out of it if I can't download it, install it, and use it before I purchase it? And that's another issue in this WordPress ecosystem, is that for all the theme developers and theme shops out there, they offer all these demos that are front end only. You can see the front end of what's possible, but you can't see the back end and get a demo or a tutorial unless you buy the theme or the plugin and you get the license key, and then you can, log into that theme developer's website and find that information. So then you get frustrated and I'm going to go to Squarespace. So you go to Squarespace, but then it ends up being the same problem, because all of these are platforms, and all the platforms rely on third-party plugin developers and theme developers to advance their system, their base systems. So let's talk about the base system. WordPress as a base system only does a few things well. It allows you to publish content. It doesn't allow you to publish content as events. It doesn't allow you to publish content as a directory. It doesn't allow you to publish content as e-commerce products and services. It doesn't allow you to do a whole bunch of different things. That's what the WordPress theme and plugin ecosystem is for, to go out and find the tools to plug in and advance WordPress to where you want it to go. For example, if you want e-commerce, some people today are doing WordPress, then they go to Shopify and they try to link the two sites together. But the reality is WooCommerce is there to plug into WordPress to keep your shopping cart and your website all in one site, instead of trying to support and manage two sites and link between both. I am currently working on a client site where we're migrating all of their products from Shopify into WooCommerce, which is plugged into WordPress, and therefore they can do everything in one system. So what happens is people start running to different systems thinking that, oh, I could do this with that system, So for example, there's a system called Lead Pages, right? Somebody said, oh, I need a landing page I need a landing page to drive my direct, online marketing audience to a landing page, right? So instead of building their landing page at mydomain.com/landing-page and then driving their audience into the landing page on their website, they go out and they get this cool tool from Lead Pages and they pay X amount of dollars per month and they create a lead page and they create a subdomain. Then they have to manage that lead page and manage that subdomain and manage all that traffic to that lead page, but it's not benefiting their website because they're not driving traffic into mydomain.com, right, /landing page. They're driving traffic into subdomain.mylandingpage.com service. Excuse me. They're driving that traffic into a third-party service, and they're not keeping it under one umbrella. And this is the problem. But it's not just the problem with WordPress. It's a problem with every platform. It's a problem with understanding how to build websites and how to manage your digital strategy efficiently. And so that's what I do for my clients. I'm a digital strategist. I build and bring it all together for my clients. I try to save them from themselves by pulling, different disparate resources all together, all of a sudden having all these different subscriptions for all these different services when they could have had it in one platform. Give you another example. I have a client right now. One of their colleagues, their freelancers, contacted me to add some rules for some service or whatever have you for their landing pages, right? But I had already built them a landing page at theirdomain.com/business-loans. And on that landing page, I put a reviews plugin so they could get star reviews in Google. And I put a form where people could fill out the form and they could get the lead. But instead of driving people to their own website, to their website.com/business-loans and creating value and traffic to that page so Google would value that page higher in search, they went to a third-party service because somebody told them about it and said, this is really cool, use that service. And so now they're driving the traffic away from their site into a third-party solution that's exactly the same page that I built for them on their website, right? So this is what happens in the WordPress universe, is that people get scared. They're fearful. They're afraid. They don't know. They don't understand, and they don't know where to turn, right? So here's where to turn, right? Let's go back over it. WordPress meetups happen in your community every month. Look on meetup.com, find a meetup, you'll find answers. WordPress user groups have popped up on Facebook and LinkedIn. People answer questions there all the time about things that you need to know, right? All the third-party WordPress themes and plugins that you buy pretty much have a year, 6 months to a year of support. You should be able to log in to that website that you bought it from and ask for support. Sure, sometimes it takes 24 hours to get support, but that's the nature of the business, right? Lastly, you have WordCamps, right, to go to. So WordCamp.us, go to WordCamps, happen every month somewhere around the world. Go to YouTube, find tutorials, right? How do I do this in this theme framework? How do I do that in that tool? What do I use for this reason? What do I use for that reason? And then you have WordPress professionals like myself who are consultants and contract out to our clients to help them solve these issues, right? So this is how to use WordPress. This is how to apply WordPress to your small business, right? The other thing is, yesterday I got a new client who contacted me about some issues that they're having with a blog. And they sent me a list, and I said to them, I know we can talk on the phone and you can show me a couple of things, but I really need a formal list from you of what you really need me to do. And I got that list, and it was fix the about page, fix the, make this look better. What do you think we can do here? Those aren't business requirements. Those are just high level, hey, can you do this for me stuff. When you are working in this world of web development and small business, you have to get specific. Tell me how to do this thing. I don't know how to do this. Here's the URL. This looks different than what I'm used to seeing from these other two sites. Can I make this thing here and take a screenshot? Because everybody should know how to take a screenshot nowadays. Here's a screenshot of my problem. I want to fix this, this, and this. Can you help me, right? Not an ambiguous, hey, go look at the homepage, can you fix it? What does that tell anyone? It tells us nothing, right? So what I'm urging you to do when you are applying yourself, whether it's WordPress or Squarespace or Wix or anything, is to try to challenge yourself, to look deeper, to find the information that you can Google, to ask questions in a more detailed and methodical manner, right? Because when you throw stuff out at people like myself or at the support folks that you're trying to talk to, and you just say, this thing doesn't work, why not? Right? That's not going to work for the people that you're asking the questions to, right? So we need to advance and challenge ourselves to get a greater understanding. No one likes to open the manual. Everybody likes to get the shiny toy at Christmas, but no one seems to like to open the manual, right? I have to open the manual for my clients. I have to find out all the answers to these complex problems. And I'm not a developer. I'm just a guy who knows how to research and how to get things done. That's my skill set. And if I can do it, then you can do it, right? Because you don't need to know how to develop if as a small business owner. You can get advice, you can get the solution, and you can turn to a trusted resource who can then do it for you, right? So that's why and how we're using WordPress today. WordPress has gotten really advanced, but not WordPress. Well, WordPress itself has gone from having what we call the classic editor to block-based publishing. It used to be I would put my title in and I would have a huge text field for body content, but now I have block-based publishing where I have a title, I have multiple text fields, an image block, a quote block, and I can mix and match those blocks and I can drag and drop them. And it advances WordPress to a whole new level, right? But on top of that, these themes and plugins, this whole ecosystem outside of that, that has to be learned and managed as well. So what I'm saying to you as a small business owner is, when someone says just turn to Squarespace or you're going to have the same issues. Everything has a learning curve. You can't just open a new toy and not read the manual or not find out who else is using it and how they're using it. You have to have a little skin in the game. If you don't want to have skin in the game, that's fine. That's why people like me are here. That's why there are agencies. That's why there are WordPress freelancers. That's why there are professionals around the country to help you with all these types of things, right? But you have to then decide, are you going to spend against that? What's your budget for it? And what's reasonable, right? To adjust to, getting what you need to get done. So that is my WordPress for small business talk today. My name is Tony Zioli. I'm a consultant, trainer, and coach on WordPress. I just actually came from a coaching meeting, which is why I'm in my car, because I couldn't get home to do this webcast. I was a little delayed because I wanted to make sure that the person that I was coaching really understood the 3 or 4 major points about where she was going to get help with her WordPress issues, right? So if you need my assistance, tonyzioli.com or digitalstrategyworks.com. You can leave a message here on Facebook. I'll get back to you. Whatever it is that you're trying to do with WordPress, can be done. It's not just an out-of-the-box solution, though, because there are times when you will want to advance your WordPress site to a point far greater than what its core is capable of. And to do that, you need to understand that it gets into website architecture, web development, graphic design, then all of a sudden it becomes a bigger project. And so let's talk about, before we go, let's just talk about budgets, right? When people come to me and say, I have $500, I need a website, right? What does that say, right? That says, I'm going to McDonald's. I want the cheapest thing possible. I don't know how websites work. I just want to throw something up on the internet, and I want you to do it for low dough and take your time and energy to help me in my small business, right? That doesn't work. There's a lot of people chasing those value-based websites on Upwork, on any one of these, Fiverr. You have people all over the world, web developers from India and Pakistan and the Ukraine and other Eastern Bloc countries trying to vie for that, $250 to $500, $1,000 websites, right? but they can't take your photos for you. They can't do your videos for you. They can't do digital strategy for you. They can't advise on search engine optimization for you. They haven't done this to a high level to launch businesses online. So they don't really know a lot other than they're just going to throw up a website and they're just going to patch it together in the way that they've learned on their own. And it's going to be no rhyme or reason. And they're just going to throw in any kind of plugin, any theme, and you just get what you get. And there's no service quality. There's no warranty on the work. There's no discussions. There's a lot of misunderstanding in that world, right? Because you're talking to people who speak foreign languages fluently and they don't speak English fluently. So there's a lot of missed opportunity back and forth, miscommunication between what you want and what you get. And so people turn to that value-based web development and then they complain about it. Like it's, oh, I should have never done that. No, you should have never done that because you don't know what you're doing, right? When you go down that road. You think that these people that are charging $500 or $1,000 have some level of skill when they really have, most of them have a very limited skill set. In fact, you could probably learn and do everything that you ask them to do in a weekend and save yourself $500 or $1,000, right? But you don't because you don't make the effort. You don't make the leap, right? Then you get into the high value WordPress sites, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20,000, $50,000, depending on, what the client is looking for. That includes rounds of designs from qualified designers. That includes stock photography or actual real amateur or pro photography that we go out and shoot. That includes videography. That includes audio production. That includes, 3 to 5 to 10 rounds of graphic design across your desktop, your tablet, and your mobile views of your website. That involves a project manager driving that project from concept to completion. That involves a team of people getting things done for you, right? And so as a business owner, you have to then say, what's the cost benefit? If I spend 500 and I get low value, right? And I have to go back and do it again because I got that low value, then did you really get the value that you thought you were getting? No, right? It ends up costing you double or triple to get what you want when you could have started from 3,000 to 5,000 and worked with a more experienced WordPress team like my team who are going to be able to deliver real solutions and real value. And when you break that cost down over 3 to 5 years, you see that the $5,000 that you invested this year really spreads out to $1,000 a year over 5 years, right? If you can't make that $1,000 a year back or write it off, that becomes the question, why do we want low value? Why do we cheap? Cheap? Because there's the three, there's the saying that if it's good and fast, it's not cheap. If it's cheap, it's not good or fast. If it's fast, it could be good, but not cheap, right? There's all the ways you can slice it, okay? And so when we talk about WordPress, we talk about tiers of experience. At the $500 to $1,000 level, your tier of experience is low. At the 3,000 to 5,000 to 7,500 level, your tier of experience is pretty good quality. They know what they're doing, to some extent. Maybe they make some mistakes here and there, or maybe they don't do things in a way that one might, or maybe they don't do as much research as they could have done to solve a problem, and you won't know that. That's something that you just won't know, right? And there's nothing you can do about that. As long as the site works and you can publish into it and it looks great, then that's fine, right? Then there's the high level. There's the plus 10,000. That gets into WordPress sites that have to do more than just pages and posts. That gets into WordPress sites that have databases of information, that have e-commerce, that have all these other types of solutions that you need to run your small business. I just did a proposal for $18,000 for a client, and then I have another $12,000 proposal out for another client, right? Because those sites take an inordinate amount of time to work on, right? They're not easy to do. They're not something that you can just slap together in a theme and say, this is done, right? They are products that my clients want designed and developed using digital strategy, using metrics, using Google Analytics, using other tools like SEO tools to then really create experiences, right, at the 7,500 plus level. And that's what I'm doing right now for a restaurant in downtown Nashville, is creating an experience, not just a website, but an experience. And that experience will last them maybe 5 to 7 years before they go into a redesign. The cost of that is around 7,500. So over 5 to 7 years, they're going to spend 7,500 and spread it across that time. And hopefully the value that they get back from that is tenfold, right? So you have to, as a small business owner, understand that this is an investment in your business, in yourself, in your world. It's not just something you should throw together and throw up there, because if it's not good, then people are going to look at your brand and they're going to say, he or she doesn't invest the time in their brand. Why should I invest the time in their brand then too, right? So we have to think along those logical lines, those logical pathways of how to think about building our WordPress sites for success. That we're not just doing it because we need a website. We're doing it because we have a brand identity. We're doing it because we're trying to deliver a message. We're doing it because we're trying to connect with our audience. We're doing it because we need revenue, and this is our business card online. And if our business card falls short, then what did we expect, right? If we're cheap, if we don't put the money and the time and the investment in, then obviously the return on that investment is going to be low, right? So that's my missive for today about, why get started with WordPress, why hang with WordPress, how to get help in the WordPress community, how to hire WordPress teams to help you, and what the budgets are for each level of knowledge that you're going to get at those prices, where to find those good developers, and find out, through testimonials and through their portfolios and case studies, what great work that they're doing, and talk to those clients of theirs and in person and one-on-one, and say, is this company going to deliver the solution that I need for my business? And the answer, more often than not, if you head to the top end first, is yes. The answer, if you head to the bottom end, is you're going to be risking your brand identity. You're going to be risking your time, the time value of money. You're going to be risking your own personal stake by going at it with a worldview that cheap is good, because cheap at the end of the day is not good. Cheap and fast, cheap and good, good and cheap, or good and fast, however you want to slice it, you can't get all three together, right? So if you have any questions about getting started, or if you have a WordPress site and you are frustrated with the experience and you're trying to figure it out, please do contact me right here on Facebook. I would love to talk to you and help you out and figure out what your problems are, and provide you with a pathway to move forward. So hopefully you'll watch this video again if you need to come back for any tips and advice that I was able to give here, and and just check back in from time to time. We're here every Tuesday. Today we started at 11:30, a little late because I had a client meeting, but usually it's 11 a.m. every Tuesday right here in the WordPress for Small Business Facebook page. Please do share this with your friends through your Facebook network. I do these videos to not only educate you, and provide value for you, the small business owner, but also it's a lead generation tool for me, right? To get the word out that Digital Strategy Works and Tony Zio are there to help. We're WordPress professionals, and we can provide the solutions that you need if you're not able to do them yourself, or if you're looking for a strategist to help you do it for you. So thank you for checking us out today, and we'll see you next time.